Okay, cool. Hey everyone, great to see you again, or people who have not seen me before or been a part of any of the workshops I've done in the past. I'll introduce myself again as we go through this. But this workshop is called On-Premise Marketing, Reach Customers and Drive Sales. It's different than the initial title that I gave Natalie when we were talking about this a few months ago, but it's changed because these things change, but it's still the same thing. The general goal here for this workshop is to give you actionable advice and inspiration to help you with direct marketing, be it out of your booth, in your booth, relating to driving sales there. My last few workshops that I did one that was just introducing and breaking down marketing and really demystifying it for you guys. That was my first thing I really wanted to do because it's not as a big a deal as we all make it out to seem. It's not advertising big budgets. It's simply communicating with people and touching people and providing them with value and helping them on their journey with what they're looking to do in their lives. And the next one was holiday marketing, where I reviewed a bunch of holiday marketing best practices to give you some thoughts ahead of time. And coming out of that one, what really made sense for me for this one was really to focus on something that is really based in your reality and the things that you can affect like very close to you in your day-to-day, particularly relating to point of sale on-premise marketing, which is the things you do to attract people to where you sell, your point of sale, your store that you have. So we'll still mix in some digital and some offline things, meaning off-site things, but for the most part, we're going to focus on what you can do there. And I'm going to require a good amount of your helps because a fair amount of you are the experts, as well as some Greenway people as well, who've seen some great things that have happened with different people with booths throughout the years. Okay, so my objectives for this is that you understand on-premise marketing and its main principles, that you're able to identify ways to improve your on-premise marketing, and that for you to put what you learned into action for your business. So this is going to be really simple stuff. Don't let the word on-premise marketing throw you off or make it seem like it's scary. It's literally the things that people do in stores, like how CVS or Walgreens find ways to get you to do impulse buys, to buy that gum that's next to you because it's placed strategically as you're walking up and buying things. There's thought that goes into how things are placed and merchandised, and a fair amount of you, because you know your product, probably are already doing that. We're just going to take the things that you do innately or see people do, and we're going to make them, we're just going to put them into the air and allow you to own them and take action with them so you can actually do more and optimize it and drive more value for yourself in the long run. So I want you to understand it and its principles, and then how you can identify how you can use it. And then hopefully you'll be able to put some things in action to help you with your business. So quick introduction to me, 3 points. The business I run, it's a resource that empowers self-funded creative small businesses with guidance, systems, and community so they can grow. And you can think of us as a personal one-stop shop of easily accessible resources, guidance, connections for creative small businesses looking to overcome resource challenges so they can grow. We make marketing easy for small business. I send out a weekly newsletter that that Natalie gets, and she can attest. You can ask her. You don't have to take it from me. It's really good. I put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's free. People think I'm crazy that I'm sending out this kind of value and providing this stuff, but it's really to help people and build relationships. So if you go to 3pts.co and sign up, you can get onto the newsletter list and get the newsletter every week. And then this is me. I'm Kim Robinson, a marketing expert, coach, founder of 3 Points. I used to work at Red Bull, Complex, The Fader, a bunch of other places. I love to ideate, restore, fix things, but not houses or cars. I'm awful with that. Responsible. I love meeting people, and I'm very positive, as you can probably tell. And then helping self-funded creative entrepreneurs achieve their goals is what I'm most passionate about, and that's why I started my business. And I live in New York, so it's a little late here. So if I'm dragging a little, please give me a benefit of the doubt. It's been a long day, but I'm gonna push through for you guys. So this is our agenda. This is going to be short and quick and simple because I really want to like give you value and get in and get out and give you what you need. We're going to talk about on-premise marketing. I'm going to explain it. And then we're going to do a work session. It's going to require people to talk and collaborate and give me their feedback. Everyone on this line. I'll say it now, but I'll also say it then. So the last few ones, it was a lot of me talking to people and kind of throwing out there. And there's nothing worse a lot of times than just listen to someone. Your eyes begin to roll at a certain point. And I make these presentations dynamic so you can smile and you can feel like you got something out of them. But I also need to make sure I'm getting something out of it in terms of input and output. And as I said before, because we're kind of going into your guys' world of your booths, your stores, how you set things up, how you sell, the things that you do, those best practices, sharing them and talking about them is going to be important. Because if you don't, it's going to get really awkward because it's just going to be me saying, so what do you think of this? And then we're going to have crickets. And then we're going to go to another slide where it's going to need the same thing. And then we're going to have crickets. And if no one says anything, I'll keep going and then it'll end. But I'm just telling you now before we get to it, and no shots or no troubles if no one can jump in, but just let you know now, but you'll get so much out of it. You want money, you should participate. You want to grow your business, you should participate. But I'm just saying this now because I'm going to be comfortable with it getting awkward. And then we'll wrap. So I'm going to explain it. Then we're going to do a work session together where I'll lead it. All you're going to have to do is just be the expert that you are in terms of your world. You don't have to have marketing experience or knowledge. And then we're going to wrap, and you'll be able to get some things out of it. So on-premise marketing is basically the in-store marketing that businesses use to influence buyers. These marketing strategies are implemented where customers make their purchases to increase the chance of conversion. It's also called local store marketing. So think of any place that you go where things are positioned in a certain way: clothing, electronics store, a general store. It's all built out. When I worked at Red Bull, the degree of detail and fighting that happens between stores and businesses and then their competitors about who gets placed where and why is a critical thing, because people understand all these deep level things about people in terms of psychology of where their eyes go or where they look when they turn left when they walk into places. This stuff is codified, that once you understand that stuff, it's just basically when you understand people, you can implement strategies to give yourself the best chance of selling product. So that's why it's the same thing where I'm guessing real estate, for businesses that are in different places. There's probably good real estate in spots within the Melrose Trading Post as well, where, people come in and they see something immediately. So it's really just understanding people and then understanding your environment and the tools that you have and using them to connect with people and providing them with value, and then getting their attention, which we'll get into, which we're going to talk about the marketing funnel, which is the different stages that we as humans need to that we go through before we buy something. And I'll talk about that. So the components of on-premise marketing are pre and post-sale marketing. So pre could be as simple as you going onto social media and saying, hey, on Thursday, I'm going to be at this place selling my wares. And then after, a post-sale marketing thing could be, thanks for coming out. Here's a photo of me with my wares, blah, blah, blah. Customer service. Some of you are probably dynamite salespeople who really find a way to talk to people and engage with them. That is on-premise marketing. So just being mindful of how do you do your customer service, or what can you do to improve it? Could be something that could be where you could boost your business and find ways to sell more, or work with people. Merchandising. Merchandising is kind of like a really wide open thing in terms of from what product you decide to put out, to what you decide to display, to what things you want to highlight, or just the information that you want to communicate. We'll get into that later. And then promotions can take many forms. So promotion could be a partnership with someone where someone has a DJ playing in their space, or if they do a partnership where if they go to one person, they can get something from another business and so on, or a scavenger hunt or a price promotion. It's really a lot of different ways that you can do a promotion and how you can do it to make it effective for your business. So these are on-premise marketing components that we'll talk about as a part of this workshop. So we have the pre and post sale, the online and offline tactics you do before and after customers physically shop with you, customer service, how we engage with and provide value to customers through one-on-one interactions. I think what a lot of people typically think of customer service is just like, oh, I sold them this, they left. There's just so much value in who you are and how you communicate with people and how you make them feel that could be the difference between them shopping with you and them shopping with someone else who sells the same thing or something else. It's like that for anything. Humans typically do really well when they feel like they were treated well and they feel like someone gave them an experience that they don't typically normally get. So there's so much opportunity there with customer service. It's not just simply, "Hi, you want to buy this? Cool, ring you up." There's so much space there. Merchandising. And this is where so many of you probably have so many best practices that you know for your business and what you've seen. And merchandising is definitely not my expertise, but I can speak to it in certain ways. And it's how we strategically present and highlight products, to communicate value and influence purchase. So it's not even the things that we say in customer service. It's how are we placing things in a certain way along a buyer's journey when they're interacting with us, the product, or anything that compels them later down the line to convert or buy. And then promotions and offering that attempts to influence people to buy a product or service. So why should you care about on-premise marketing? That's something I was thinking about. It's like, I need to make sure to explain that. One, because you're all on-premise sales. On-premise is physical sales. So this is something that you already may be thinking about, but we're just bringing an actual word to it. So before you be like, yeah, set up my space, I do it, I sell, blah, blah. But the marketing aspect of it is something that all stores, big and small, do. And how they go about it, from where they place themselves to how they interact with people to all those things. So you're already on premise sales. So if you add in the marketing component and you start, adding, being a little strategic and adding a little, deeper thought to like what you've already been doing, you can really advance what you're doing and take it a little further. So this is the funnel I was talking about earlier. These are the different points of the marketing of how we engage with products and how we eventually get to being fans, stands, like devotees of a product. So awareness, that's number one. Do you have someone's awareness? Are you able to get in front of them, or are they able to know of you? Because if they don't know of you, then they won't consider you. And that's the second step, where after someone is aware of something, it typically takes a good amount of time before someone is aware of something. There's a rule, it's called the rule of 7, I believe, where someone has to be hit 7 impressions before they remember something or they begin to, it resonates with them. So that's why, like a movie that's coming out, you'll see the actor on the Tonight Show, and then you'll see advertising, and then you'll see that person in People magazine, and then you'll see that person in something else, because it's a coordinated rollout, because movie studios understand that just getting someone out once isn't enough, that they have to throw out so much stuff that hopefully they touch you enough times that when someone asks you, hey, what should we go see on Friday? You're like, oh yeah, this movie, because it's top of mind, because it's touched you the requisite amount of time. So awareness is a really key thing here. And where you guys have the advantage in terms of your space and being at Melrose Trading Post is that Melrose Trading Post, just like Amazon online or any other marketplaces, providing you with a physical marketplace where people are coming. So you don't have to work hard to get their attention other than once they get into the space. And we'll talk about that. And then consideration leads to conversion, which means I considered it. Does it make sense to me? I'm going to buy it. And then if I'm happy with my purchase and I buy again, maybe, then I get to loyalty, and then advocacy, which is referral. So I've learned about this business. I'm thinking about buying from them. I bought from them. I love what they do, and I'm going to tell everyone about what they do. and blah, blah, blah. You know, when you love something, you love to tell people about it. That's a new natural human condition for so many of us. So the benefits are that it's going to help you reach customers, boost your sales, and grow your business. Simple as that. That's what it can do. So we're going to get into our work session now. And we're going to brainstorm and share experiences and best practices for the following buckets: the customer, pre-sale strategies, on-premise strategies, merchandising, promotions, customer service, and post-sale strategies. And what I want you to remember is awareness, consideration, conversion, loyalty, and advocacy. Hold on one quick second. I'm going to pull up something really quick. Drop this in the chat so everyone has this. Come on. Oh, end up posting it twice. But if you go to the chat, you'll see the funnel that I talked about, because as we're coming up with ideas and thinking about them, think about where they slot. And you don't have to check all the boxes, because even but the way it goes is awareness is the most important thing, because it starts there, because you can't get someone to buy something from you if they don't are not aware, or understand, or even considered it, and they can't refer you if they haven't gone through those other steps. So as we go through and brainstorm and talk about things, just remember and just check out that list that I just dropped into the chat. So back to the different points. The customer is what we're going to do is start there, which is where everything starts, with the customer. Like I brought up earlier, big businesses spend millions of dollars wanting to understand how people interact with things and our human psychology to give us the things we want. It's not tricking us. It's humans want what they want. So you need to understand them and meet them where they're at. And this is what we're going to do a basic version of, because you know your customer, you know what they want, you've experienced and talked to them firsthand. So I want to start getting you thinking about who are they? What do they typically ask you for? What are some of the barriers that don't lead to them considering or buying from you? So that's really important that we think about our customer, because then when we're coming up with pre-sale strategies or on-premise strategies relating to your merchandising or your promotions or your customer service or even your post-sale, it's through the lens of who the customer is and what they want. You shouldn't do it because that's what you like. It should be about what your customer likes, because we're trying to get their money, and we're trying to grow our business and get as many of them as possible. So we'll start with customer, then we'll go to pre-sale, on-premise strategies, and then post-sale strategies. And this is where you're going to come in. And for me, I'll make my own shop. I don't have a shop, but mine's is going to be championship vinyl from one of my favorite movies, High Fidelity. So I'll be running a record spot that I'll call championship vinyl, just like that. And as we're going through this, I'll kind of come up with examples of what would make sense for my record shop, to like spark conversation and get other people to participate and provide what they believe for their business has worked, or etc. Because my goal here for this, guys, is really that, and one thing I want to say, I totally forgot to say earlier, is that don't think of this as zero sum, meaning that if someone hears about an idea or something that you do means that you're going to lose out, because it's not. Like, I could give someone all the ideas in the world. That doesn't mean they're going to know how to do it and do it like how I do it. So understand that don't feel protective of like, oh, this is my idea, and if someone hears it, they're going to steal it, because they can do it the same way, but it's not going to be the same, because we're all different, and we're all uniquely different in terms of who we are and what we put out to the world. So don't feel worried that you're going to have some kind of intellectual property thing stolen. This is about sharing and providing value, because we're all we have. We don't have resources and big budget. So we really depend on each other for advice and ideas and brainstorming. And let's not keep these things to ourselves as we're going through it and worry. So the requirements, take notes. because it'll help you as you go through this, and then participate, as I said before, because the next section really can't make sense without you participating and saying something as part of it, and you won't just hear me talking and just like, bore everyone to death here. Okay, so these will be our buckets. As I said before, the customer, pre-sale, on-premise, and post-sale. And I'll explain these again each time we get to them to be able to provide some additional context. Give me one quick second. Whoops, sorry. Okay. So the customer, and this is your time to, write notes, start thinking, because this is us just getting moving here, because there's different steps here. So the customer, what are the different types of people who shop with you? What draws their attention? What are they typically looking for? What is a common barrier for them making a purchase? What motivates them to buy? It's starting to write down some of these things, and also add in some of your own questions about the customer, or answering some questions about your customer that can just help us with answering, to come up with some strategies for the next section. Would anyone like to speak to any of these questions verbally here, and speak to what type of people shop with them, or what draws their attention, or what are they looking for from you, or what motivates them to buy? Anyone? Feel free, you can come off mute and speak. You don't have to chat.
Don't be shy.
Yeah. And no need to be shy. Now we'll just go through it, as I said before, and it's totally fine. And if you speak up, there's nothing wrong with it, because you could get some direct advice and things from me, and yeah, you could get tons of value out of it. So I'll start with, well, for my record shop, I know that the different types of people who shop with me are record nerds, like guys who all they care about is records, and they care about nothing else, and they're just all about one-upping each other. It's what they care about, and what draws their attention is really like popular releases that justify who they are. So if I have up in my space all these like key records that are known ones that are popular, that gets their attention, and I know that they always all pop for it. They typically buy those records, and what they're looking for is to score something that other people don't have. They love to be up on things. Of course, they love music, but the bigger benefit, and that's something I want you to talk about, is what are the things that your customers looking for that your product provides to them. And my customer, what they're looking for is to really have something that not a lot of people have: bragging rights, and confidence that their collection is continuing to be amazing. And also they just like to hang out and talk about their records. And then a common barrier for them making a purchase is none that I can think of, but what motivates them to buy is almost like the competition. It really comes down to it. They love music, but they love to crack on their friends and say, I got this, you don't have that. And that's a big thing for them. Anyone want to contribute?
Well, if we don't have any volunteers, I am very familiar with one of the businesses at the market, because I've kind of helped them with like their process of development and growing and changing a bit. So I can kind of speak to their perspective and some of the strategies that they use around their customer.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the businesses you may be familiar with in the market is Melrose Mixology. It's a beverage business, and they also have a few little like snacks and treats. They have pink tents. They put disco balls, flamingos, and fake flowers all over their booth and all around their booth. You can pretty much see part of their booth from like a mile away because there's so much stuff going on. And that is something that they do as like a signal to the customers to say, hey, if this looks cool to you, come in my booth, you're gonna love what I have. So the disco balls, the flamingos, the pink tents, the flowers, it's all very intentional to create this vibe
Of course.
that matches the product, which are these high-end drinks that are made by a mixologist, right? And so they catch the attention with all these items, right? With all the fun decorations. And then they also catch attention with the names of their drinks. So the names all have like unconventional names, and you don't really know what it is by the name. You have to keep reading the description to know what the drink is. But their customers are people who want to treat themselves, and they like maybe like mixology. They like maybe they're a foodie. They like maybe the finer things in life, and they want to get themselves a nice treat for the day. So they know, like, oh, I'm going to go there. I'm going to get a special coffee or a special tea. I'm going to get that amazing donut, and my day is going to be so much better because of it. And
That's really, really cool.
And that's their motivation. They want to treat themselves. And yes, it is a $7, $8 coffee, but they feel really special. They love all the flavors because it's so like thoughtfully put together. And I think the price is a barrier for some people, but the people who really want that extra like special treat on a Sunday will go for it.
Makes sense. That's a really, really good breakdown. And you hit on a bunch of the other ones for on-premise we're going to go into too, and I'll use it as an example once we get on that side. But that's a great, great thing. Is one last question, Ali, about them. I mean, is it kind of a mix of different people who end up probably buying from them? Or is it kind of like this core person who likes something that's a little bit more like a premium drink where you kind of see them, and you're like, that's the standard customers in there? Or do they kind of attract a mix of different people?
It's a mix of different people. The market itself attracts a mix of different people. And
Yeah,
I think there's just like a portion of those people across all the age and all the different different elements that they're attracted to that like vibe, as he calls it. They see
totally.
that and they're like, that's me. I gotta be over there, whatever that is. I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, the signaling, and we'll get to that one, the next ones that really, really do a good job of telling people, hey, I'm you,
Mhm.
you're me, come over here and connect, because that's what we're all looking to do. And I'll speak to that more in the next slides. So pre-sale, this, as I said, is what strategies could we implement in advance of our opening to increase on-site sales based on our knowledge of the customer? So this is just you writing down and saying, what things could I do in advance that might help people buy on site? Now, the simple example of that could be social media, of course, where you say, hey, here's what my product looks like. I'm going to be at Melrose Trading Post at this time. Come and buy from me. Now, that's the standard promotion that everyone does, and it's easily ignored. It's still important to do it because you need to tell people transactionally when you're going to be where and et cetera, et cetera. But there's so many different ways that you can create content or just create and do different things. You could also do partnerships or different other things where you said, hey, maybe I'll let people know about my stuff through someone who has an email list that goes out to people, and I can pay that person $50 and they could highlight my product and that I sell it on this day. Or maybe you do a partnership with someone where they communicate it on their social media. And this doesn't have to be like a big company. This could just be a friend or someone who likes your product or anything along those lines. What strategies could you do in advance? And education is probably the easiest thing to do because if any majority of you have an expertise in a product or service to be able to do something, one thing I recommend doing is you have a chance to resonate and connect with your customer in a way that no one else can. And you can do it through educating the marketplace. So what I mean by that is your knowledge relating to your product, share that, because that helps get people really jazzed up to then buy the product, because you're helping them understand how they can enjoy it more, learn how to use it, get more value out of it, etc., or how they can use other things with it, or providing them with facts or knowledge or something bigger that makes the product more. Because just doing standard product promotion pre-sale, saying I'll be here, this, there, is one thing, but you have to just give a little bit more, because we're always looking for more. In the end, people care more about the things bigger than the products that they sell or buy. We're looking for the bigger benefits. And when you always remember that, then that can give you a filter. So for my record store, something that I could do would be I could talk about the top 5 records that everyone's looking for, that we're still looking to like bring in, because we know that people are all looking for those. It's a point of discussion. It'll get people talking. Would we have it? I could tease and say, maybe we might have it this week and you could come and check it out, which then draws people in. So I'm just creating conversation around things that me and my customers all care about. They care about these records, and they also care about the competition. So I'm going to kind of use that and create dialogue where I say, hey, come down and check it out. Or someone or I could work with someone who is like, has really great knowledge, and say, hey, I'm going to promote that you'll be at my store, and you're going to be sharing your stories of finding records across the world. And that person says, yes, I can promote that. So what on-site thing, think about pre-sale things you can do ahead of time. And does anyone want to speak to anything that they do ahead of the market, or any other times that they do that helps them make sales on site that they want to share with anyone else that works for them?
Instagram kind of helps.
How so?
I list whatever new records I'm taking to the market. That's what I sell, records at the market. And it's I mean, that's something I'm very passionate about. And I do take, my new arrivals, I picture them. But my problem is that I'm not so big on, social media. I'm kind of like, it's even a little hard for me to do it, because I'm really not on social media that much. So I see how people do get, people who go, but it's kind of hard for me. I don't know why. It's always been a little hard for me.
Yeah. And Carlos, the thing that most of us all like get caught up in is think of social media as a tool. And most other marketing specialists would tell you that you have to get super jazzed into Instagram and do all those billion things. What matters more is that you are you, and you have your specialty and knowledge, and you need to highlight that. So if what you're doing is taking photos of your new arrivals that people will care about, and you post that, that probably gets good engagement from people. And like you said, gets people to come through. If that works for you, do that. You don't have to do anything more or grow your channels to be higher. So don't feel inadequate that you have to learn and win Instagram. I just think where a lot of businesses like yours are just driven astray is that you don't have to win Instagram. What matters more is your specialty and your knowledge of what you're passionate about, and communicating that. You don't have to do it perfect, but just do it however and whenever you can. Of course, be consistent if you can, but focus more on what you do know and sharing that with the world, because that's what people want to hear from you about. They don't want you just doing things to do things,
Yeah, of course.
But you're saying your new arrivals, that does convert, and people come down and say, hey, I saw you posting about that.
Yeah, it does work, because I have seen it work. And the thing is that I'm always looking for the inventory, and I don't really have time to do Instagram all the time, because I do have 3 kids, so that takes a lot of my time.
Totally.
And I wish I had more time to do Instagram or other social media, but I just can't.
Yeah, and like I said, don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal, because if you know that what performs best for you is that you post these new arrivals, you could say, hey, I'm going to make a goal to post one time with new arrivals once a week, and just do that. And that's your
Yeah.
entire feed. You don't have to try and capture video, because what do your customers care about? They care about the records. They just care about
Yeah.
finding good shit. You
Yeah.
just need to focus on that.
The quality of the records. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all they care. I get it. I'm a record person. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't care if you were saying, hey, I'm going to do an Instagram live here and I'm going to talk about these records. I just want to know what you got and that you may have what I want. So if you can communicate that, you're good to go.
Yeah.
And to what Carlos is saying, and I think the takeaway here is, just if there are like key findings when we go back and understand our customer of what they're looking for. So if we understand that what his customers are looking for is new arrivals and things that they did not see last time, so they can come in and get it for other people, then a strategy for him for pre-sale is letting people know about it and taking photos of it and communicating it. Simple as that.
Right.
That's one simple thing you could do. Cully, you have your hand raised?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Hi. I just wanted to ask Carlos or anyone else if you've had more success with posting posts or posting in stories, or if it doesn't matter for your people.
Oh, you can unmute Carlos. Sorry, I muted you.
Yeah, no, I only post on Instagram and just a picture and a little story behind it, and that's it.
Okay, so you don't do like how Instagram has stories and then they have posts.
Yeah,
So
no,
you don't do this. Okay, got it. All right.
I should though. Maybe it'll work.
I don't know. I struggle with knowing I guess it's better to do both, but yeah, I haven't figured out who pays attention to what more.
Right.
Yeah. And what matters most, guys, here is don't get caught up in the Instagram game of thinking you have to do everything or what works. I'm telling you, there are so many strategies that if you truly wanted to like win Instagram, I know people who have 4-person teams that oversee social media and they still can't win it, and they're still behind on it. So take the pressure off yourself and have fun and live in your zone of genius and communicate that. Relax and just be you and put it out there, because what your people care about is the value in the deeper things. If you don't post the stories, you don't do a live, totally fine. And the reason why I'm saying this is because majority of you are busy and don't have the time to truly do it. So what I would say is do what you can and then make it work from there. Other ideas could be that you can do other things that are not Instagram, but it depends on who your customer is and how you want to go about it. Because a pre-strategy could be you email people that have bought from you before and you let them know, hey, Carlos could say, here's the new arrivals that are here this week. Boom, rundown. That's information that those people care about and they're looking to buy. So it's a qualified audience. So don't put the pressure on yourself about that you have to win that game and be out there, because then you're not doing what you do well and living in your zone of genius. So this is our main one. I want to get to this because this is where it's at, and this is what Nally was speaking to relating to the mixology business, and this is where you guys can all really speak to what you do. So on premise, this is actually in our space where we sell. What are the ways we can use any of these things to drive sales? Now, I've been to plenty of markets. I've seen so many people do so many interesting things. Nally brought up how this one mixology brand throws up crazy colors, flamingos, and just draws attention that if someone, it resonates with them, they will be in there. If it doesn't, they won't be in there, but that's their way of merchandising and creating branding to signal to people, hey, are you weird and you like crazy colors and whatever? Come in here. This is for you. It's just signaling and inviting them in. So merchandising, how do you place your product, or how do you sell different things? How do you do certain customer service? Do you partner with anyone to do anything? Do you have some people, do you wear a certain outfit to get attention? A friend of mine ran a suspender business, and she would wear her product and people would come into her store and buy from her because she looked good wearing it, because she was really good at it. So any of these different examples, buckets here, I'd love to hear from any of you about how you drive sales on site in your store to get people to buy, using any of these things.
So Jewel is in the chat and she's added a couple of comments.
Yep.
But she said she does wear her product when she's selling. Oh, Jewel, hi. If you want to unmute yourself, go for it. Let me know if you want help with unmuting.
But it's okay too, in terms of that. Wearing product is a great idea. And something else that my friend would do is she would get her friends to show up and wear the product and hang out and walk around and go to other places from where she was at, because then people would ask her friends. Because my friend's strength was styling people. So what she would do was style herself, style her friends, and then people would ask, and it helped her make a ton of sales.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, so some of my merchandise are handmade. So like my grandma does the sewing for my small business. So whenever I'm vending, I'm always wearing my apron. So that draws a lot of attention. And then also kind of like my signature look, because I'm from Hawaii, I'm always wearing my coconut papale. It's a hat, so I'm very recognizable. And I always have like the same look all the time. I'm a resin artist, so I'm always like wearing some kind of plant print. And then my merchandise are always hanging, so that kind of draws attention. And then also I'm creating my art there. And another thing that I do prior to the market day is I'm on YouTube. I'm a content creator. So the week of, I do Thursday's check-in. I show what's my new art. And then I also share where I'm going to be for the week, where they can find me. And then if they're not in the city, because I travel with my shop, if they're not in the city where I'm going to be, they can message me, so that's what I do every week on Thursdays.
And what I like about that, what you just said, is you have a schedule and you keep it really simple, and you don't overdo it. You're not trying to do more or less. You keep it consistent and do that. And what she just talked about in terms of all those things she does on site, people eat that shit up. It makes people buy things even if they didn't know they wanted something, because just thinking about what she just said about the reason why so many businesses have where you see the guy making the pizza, flipping it, because our senses really love seeing that kind of thing, and makes us want to engage with the people doing it and consume the product that we see being made. So Jewel having someone in her space making the product, people are seeing it, how it's being made, the craft, and they can talk to her about it. So she's checking all these boxes here where she's winning them with awareness because they're seeing her wearing the product. The consideration is there because then they're engaging with her, talking, and it's going through their mind and they're trying to understand it. And the awareness of the pre-sale stuff that she does is really on point and does it. But that's what leads to conversion, that she's just giving them a suite of different experiences that then makes the chances likely that they'll convert or buy. Now, human beings are the most difficult people to predict. You can do everything right and they can still not buy. And that's the way it goes. I know this. I'm a professional marketer and I do everything to the T, and people will still ignore me. And that's the way it goes. And you have to understand humans are humans, and that's the way it goes. But it's nothing to get down about. It's just to understand that you have to check the boxes and find ways that you can reach people. To like one thing that Jula Hawaii was just saying, an idea that Carlos could do or that I would do for my record stores. One of the biggest things that record people love is random shirts of groups that they love that not a lot of people love, or a popular band that everyone loves but we only know about. So if at my record store I was wearing a shirt of a band called My Bloody Valentine from the late 80s, early 90s, classic cult band, tons of people will come up to me and talk to me about my shirt. And then it would get them into my place. That is awareness. And then I've already gotten their consideration because they respect me because they're like, this guy knows his shit. He's wearing a shirt of a band that we know about. So there's so much opportunity there for you to signal to people. And I think what we talked about with the mixology example, what we talked about with Jules' example, or even the thing I just said, what can you do to kind of rattle people to get them to be like, wow, that's something unique, and get their awareness and consideration? Because if I'm just selling records and there's just records there, that's not going to make it pop as much as if I had 5 t-shirts with like groups that everyone knows in that scene. And they're like, wow, that's pretty cool. I would probably come in and check that out because it just gives me something more. Records are easy to ignore in that in general, but you can always give people more. And there's so many other things that you can do. Does anyone do any kind of merchandising, the way that they place their product, or that they highlight certain product and they know if they position a certain way, it'll sell?
Hi. I have a comment about this.
Yeah.
There's a funny thing that happens when I'm at the market where if it's a slow day, I'm not selling it, like, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock comes around and I haven't sold a whole lot, I just like move everything in my booth. Like I'll literally put it all back in the boxes and then unpack it all again and put it all in different places. And there seems to be, I mean, maybe this is all news to me, so maybe I am doing something right or something wrong.
You're doing it right.
There doesn't seem to be any pattern though to where I place things. Just like the way I say it is like, I just changed the energy in the booth. Like it's feng shui or something. Do you have any words of wisdom about merchandising?
No, but you have the knowledge and the expertise. What I'm going to help you do is connect the dots here. So what you're going to have to do is remember the last few times that you did your refresh, what products moved, what position in your booth does things move when you change things around. You're just going to have to be actively minded when you're doing these refreshes to see, like, if this goes here, I think people's eyes go there. Like, think of when people are walking towards you, where does their eyes first go? Does it go to you? Does it go to a certain section? And then put those insights together, meaning just your knowledge of your customer and what has worked and what has not worked. And then we try our best. And then it's a matter of trial and error at that point. There is, humans are impossible to think, because one day you'll do something one way and be like, perfect. And then you try it again. And if it works, cool. But you're always going to have to like just keep testing and moving things around and trying new things to get attention. Did that help?
Yes, that helps. The other like added element to this is I don't have a permanent space for my booth, so I'm in different places every time I've been.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing that, if something works on the left side, it doesn't necessarily work on the left side the next time I'm there.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just doing it the right way.
But what you're saying though is, if you're noticing that things are stagnating after a certain period of time, like, here's a rule we could establish. So if you say you've been vending for 2 hours and you've had a decent amount of people walk past you, no one's even come up to you, refresh at that point. 3 hours, refresh at that point, and then see after another 2 hours would work. And you can test 2 different styles of what worked and what did not, and then test it out the next week again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had an interesting realization a while ago that so I sell clothing, and I realized that I really have to mix up the clothing because people like to kind of treasure hunt. So if I have a whole rack of skirts, somebody's like, oh, I don't want a skirt, and then they just pass up that whole side. But if I mix everything up, then they really do kind of love to dig through to see if they might find something. So that's kind of a little tip I have.
That's a really, really cool thing. In different clothing buyers, everyone has so many different jobs to be done, meaning what works for them. Like my wife works in fashion, and one thing when I go to like showrooms or these retail stores where the products that her brand sells, all the product is spaced like that far away from each other because their buyers need to see the entire outfit almost laid out on the hanger. It can't be bunched up the way I'm used to seeing things. And because if it's bunched up, they can't see and it doesn't come across as premium because they're selling expensive clothing. And just the way of understanding what those little things of what compels people to buy and not buy, understanding their natural behaviors, you have the knowledge as a group for your individual customers, because there's no best practice because it's all different and unique relating to the product you sell, where you're at. But Cully's point of people want the job to be done for them is to dig. When I do thrifting, I love to dig. And maybe they don't want it easily merchandised for them, and they'd rather dig through everything she has to find something that she could easily put in front of them. So that's a great point. I love that. Thank you, Cully. Nally, you want to throw out one for something you've seen for something? Because you gave the mixology example, but anyone else that you've seen that's did anything?
Everyone in the market has their thing, even the beginners, they're testing things out, they're trying things. But there's one vendor that I always notice because her booth is like, it looks like a rainbow. So she has a 10 by 10 and she sells like fine vintage, items that she finds, but she sells like very colorful things. So her booth is like a U shape. And in the U, it's a rainbow, the way everything is set up. So like goes all through the colors. And so you just see like this beautiful rainbow. And then right in the front, she has a table with like crazy earrings that she found, like really colorful, like pop crazy earrings. And so the table's in front, and that's kind of like the signal, like, hey, if you like these earrings, you're gonna love what's behind this table. And people come up to the earrings and they touch them. They're like, oh, I love all this. And then they see the rainbow and they're like, oh, I'm going in there. And, so it's like the people who like that kind of thing, the vintage touch, the colorful things, it's like a magnet for them. They see this and they're like, I'm in. And it just kind of like, the table is like enough of a barrier where there's still a walkway to get in, but it feels like you're in this little like rainbow space, and people are just, sometimes people just go to her and say like, wow, this is so pretty. Like, I just want to tell you, your booth looks beautiful. But she really gets those people that are like, I want colorful vintage items, and she just brings them right in.
I love that.
I actually know exactly who you're talking about just from the description. I have one more little point that I want to share just because I found this helpful too. So I have a lingerie booth, but I added some like posters and cards. And one of the reasons why I added them was when women come in with men, so the men don't have to stand there really awkwardly. They can go over and like flip through the posters. And so I guess if you cater to one sex, it's always good to have like something for the other sex there so that they don't get bored.
I love that idea. I love that. That is such a like killer idea, because like if you go back to what we talked about here, what's a common barrier for them making a purchase? So maybe Cully noticed after a while, like if a woman comes in with her husband, he's uncomfortable. And I can tell you, I've been into numerous lingerie places and I'm one of those guys where the second I'm in there, I feel like I'm at a place I shouldn't be and that I'm violating someone's like privacy, even though I'm not. And any woman I've been with who's been in there is like, you're making this worse than it should be. And then they end up leaving because of me. And what I love here is that she has recognized that's a barrier. I could lose a sale because this guy is going to be fidgety and then she'll eventually go. So she's basically giving him almost like a toy, like a child, to keep him busy and allow her to shop in peace. So then she can go about like her business and make that purchase. I love that idea. That's really, really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And what I want to get across for this part is, like I said, the merchandising and on-site sales is not a specialty of mine, but it is something that is so crucial and important, but particularly around merchandising, because merchandising is so unique for each industry, where the customers are, how they are, and the place. And it can be broken down to these crazy molecules that like it gets deep and you're either in it or you're not. But what I want to leave you guys is that I just want you to activate your minds relating to your space, the people who come into it, how they react. So this next time you go up this weekend, look at people. What do they react to? What don't they react to? What can you lead with or not lead with to bring people in further? You don't have to do crazy colors, or you don't have to do other things, but you could do things that make sense for your business, but you can't just rest on your laurels and not do anything. Because if you just like park it and you don't do anything and you just think it's going to move on its own, it's not. But there's still small things that you could do. Like I said, I wear a t-shirt that I know all these people who are nerds are going to be like, I love that band. I got them in my booth already and they might buy something. So I'll get annoyed talking about the band for 6 hours, but I won't care because I'm going to make money from it. So yeah, I'm really, really glad that this is just activating thoughts for you guys. So think of that. And then another thing I've seen some people do, lastly, partnerships. So think of someone who's not a direct competitor that's adjacent to your business. So I've seen record stores that are next to like people who are serving beer say, hey, you buy 3 records, you get a free beer next door. And because the beer spot is trying to drum up business, and they have a certain amount of beer they can give away for free, because they're going to have to throw away a shit ton of it if they don't. So they're trying to find ways to get people to buy one, and they figure if they give someone a free one, then they're good to go. But they're not going to just advertise it to everyone. So what they do is say to the record store next to them, you can give a special promo where people buy 3 records, they get a ticket, and they can go next door and get a free beer. So think of like people around you that you could collaborate with to say, hey, how can we collaborate to help each other out with business and help drive people to each other? Because, oh man, I got my record. Now I'm gonna go have a beer and talk about it. Perfect. Done. So think about that and how you could do that. And then post-sale, what strategies could be implemented after purchase to increase the likelihood of future purchase, loyalty, and referrals? So as we said, once after they buy from you, so you've gotten their attention and you've gotten them to consider you, and then you've gotten them to buy. And now you want to get them to be loyal and refer other people. What things could we do afterwards that could possibly get them to be loyal or an advocate and refer people? These are simple things, but there's so many bigger things I'm not thinking of. Simple thing could be, of course, sending a direct email to someone and thanking them for their purchase. Now it's kind of weird, but it all depends on like what your product is and how you went about it. Or you could thank someone in some way, sending them some kind of message. Or you could, one thing that I love when I go to places and shop is that really certain salesmen will listen to everything you said and then send you a link after you bought your product for something that you were talking about to help you along your journey. So they're like, oh, I noticed you were talking about this. I found this stuff online. I wanted to share it with you. Take care, enjoy the product. I hope to see you again. And of course, you get a ton of customers. You don't have to do it for everyone, but it's just this kind of thinking of what could you do after that sale? Of course, people say, hey, take my card. That customer is not going to just take your card and then reach out or remember. There's an opportunity that you have some offering of value, a small thing that can make someone smile or bring something to their day that could possibly bring them back again to you to create loyalty, or make them say, wow, that was such a cool experience that I got to learn about this business. I ended up buying something from them. And then they did this small little thing after. here's, one, I forgot what it's called. So basically it's this psychological premise. It's a psychological model. And it's basically something that waiters do all the time. Where, have you ever been to a restaurant where you're spending some money, not a ton of money, but a decent amount of money, and then dessert comes, and then, I mean, you don't order dessert and they give you dessert, or you order dessert and then they give you another treat after that. And you're like, wow, this is so nice. Anytime a waiter gives you extra things, they're doing it because they know that our inherent nature as humans is that whenever someone gives us something or treats us, we're going to give back to them. So studies show that waiters who give free treats, desserts to people at the end of their dinner or free drink typically get their tips increased by 15% on top of the 15%. So it's something that they do knowing that they're going to benefit from it. They're being nice, but they also know that. So what's your example of that? What can you do to provide value that someone's like, oh shit, they didn't have to do that. That was really nice. I bought this thing from them and then they thought of me and did that. That's going to get their loyalty. So it's reciprocation. We naturally do that. No one's going to get something from someone and be like, thanks, sucker. They're going to be like, I need to do something for them. So that's an example. You have something, Jewel?
So hi. So what I do is I thank them on social media.
You tag them?
Thank you. Yes. And then what I do is I say, here's my YouTube channel card. If you are ever on social media and watch YouTube, go to the channel, leave a comment that you met me here at the market. I love to see you in the comment section. And if they buy something, whether it's small or large, I always say, like, send me a direct message or email if you don't have anything. Let me see how you style it. A lot of them are gifts. So I would love to see it, how it got styled, and people do. And they end up coming back and purchasing more from me in the future, whether it's like from months ago or recently. Some of them do come back. Or they'll come back at the market and be like, oh, I got this keychain or I got this, and oh, my sister was so happy. So yeah, it works for me to do it like that.
You're on point. You have the principles down, and it's innate for you. And I love that you're doing this stuff. Yeah, an example that my wife's a trainer. She does that on the side. And what she does after her workouts are done is she tells everyone to take a photo with their arms up. So she tells them, show your guns. And then she does a screenshot of it. And the reason why she does it is because she sends the screenshot to everyone saying, here's the photo of you after you got done with this workout. And then those people post it to their social media, and that helps her find new clients because people are seeing this stuff. So it's a natural thing. And what I love about what Jewel said and what the example I just gave you, in the end, it's really about showing care and compassion and caring for people. Just her talking about, hey, someone's buying this as a gift from someone. The fact that she sends them an email and says, hey, I hope that worked out for you. Let me know how it turned out. Send me a photo if I can help out in any way. People love that stuff. One, it's genuine and it's real, and people are going to reply back to you. And she just said, she showed it. Business comes back to her. So it's not about doing something where you're like, hey, I got to post about a billion things to social media. If you spend the time emailing every single customer, just like she said she does after, and you just create a flow, you say thanks, and you provide them with something, a thank you, something, you can get some great value out of it. So that's a really, really cool thing. Anyone else want to share another post-sale thing that they do? Because we're going to have to wrap in a second. I'm about to be done.
I heard of something that I thought was really interesting from one of our vendors. They went to the supermarket right before coming to the market. And while they were there, they noticed that sunflowers were on sale, like very, very discounted. So they decided, I'm going to spend like $30 and just buy all the sunflowers here. And the first 30 people that come to my booth, or, however many flowers he had, and buy something, I'll give them a sunflower. And there were people walking around the market with sunflowers all morning. And it was so cool. It was like, whoa, where did all these sunflowers come from? And people felt really special. You could tell they're like, yeah, I have a flower, someone gave this to me. And it just makes people feel special. And of course, a sunflower is going to brighten your day already, you know? So that I thought was so cool. And of course, so many people took pictures and posted and tagged them. And, you know, it was just like a thank you, a little bonus that no one was expecting. And they didn't even know they were going to do it till that morning, but then they saw like how much value that gave people and how appreciated he was after that, because people were just, they loved it, you know?
Kindness goes a long way. Kindness goes a long way. And I think that's how we'll wrap this section. How can you be kind and provide value? This is not the lame customer service stuff that we all see or think about. Just what would you like? Put yourself in someone's shoes of how you can give someone some quick delight, or just something where they're like, wow, I'll remember that. Thanks. Okay, cool. So yeah, I wanted to have time for solo brainstorming, but we're past that. We've already shared some ideas. Yep, and that's my website. You can sign up for the newsletter, and we are done. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm really, really glad everyone who stuck around participated, because like I said, it's really important that you guys jump in and share your stuff, because the theory and all that general stuff I'll share is important, but we need to find real opportunities for you to grow on the ground with the stuff you're doing. Cool.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kim. I love these workshops with you. I always get a lot out of it, and I hope everyone else in the room feels the same. And also, I second that. Thank you, everyone who stuck with us. You know, we went from about 17 participants to 8 at the end. So, you know, thank you for sticking around, and thank you for participating. A lot of you, like everyone in this room, already does such a cool job with their merchandising and how they showcase their wares in the market. So I was pretty excited to see that, you know, who was here, because I was like, oh yeah, that booth looks really cool. That booth, oh, he is a cool record player that he plays his records on. You know, I was excited to see who was here. So again, thank you so much for participating. And then our next workshop with Kim will be in February.
And what we could do, and I'll leave it to you guys because you're here, we could come in and it doesn't have to be lecture. We can go straight into what things have you learned and applied relating to your merchandising, your on-premise marketing, and we can have a work session where we can solve problems and help each other out with, because you all do great, but how can we make you make more money? We want to 2x what you're doing now. So cool.
Very cool. All right, everyone, thank you so much. Don't forget about the vendor breakfast on the 19th at 7:45. You can come get a nice, warm, delicious breakfast before you start your market day. And that's about it. Thank you again, Kim. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.